This is going to be your guide to using Hisuian Lilligant in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, one weird thing I've noticed about a lot of the Legends Arceus Pokemon is that the Pokemon are mostly power adjacent or slightly power crept. Now, there are some exceptions, like what was Game Freak thinking with Ursaluna, and Basculegion is going to have like some of the craziest tech in Pokemon, but as we've been reviewing the other movesets, like yeah, these are kind of the same Pokemon like what we see with Sneasler, or slightly better like we see with Hisuian Goodra, but then it makes me wonder, why are we just not running the current form of the Pokemon until the Hisuian version comes out? Like, Lilligant's always been viable. We got a strong Quiver Dance, special attack, special defense, and speed by 1 on 110-90. Like, all you have to do is find a way of surviving a hit either with a Focus Sash, or if you can just like set up on the right Pokemon, outspeed a slow special attacker, and then just kind of bulk it out, well, we can get damage on top of damage. And then we can also go for like the high base power with Petal Dance. Own tempo means we don't get confused by it. And then we're just winning. And if some way we get like a Giga Drain sustain into a safe second Quiver Dance, then we're just hard winning the game. Also, we can do some other weird stuff because we have Terastallization, so we can go like Terra into another type to expand our coverage. Grass, Bug, really not that great. But we also saw a Pokemon like Butterfree just take over the game to where, oh, a tank Pokemon is happening because it's all tank setup. Butterfree is just going to sub, not care, get a million Quiver Dances, and then sweep or Baton Pass. Lilligant can do that, but we're not seeing it. So, like, again, Pokemon community is fraudulent, and we kind of already have a lot of these things going. And even with, like, other Pokemon, where's the Agility, Fury Cutter, Eviolite, Scyther if Fury Cutter, Cleavor is going to be so good? This still wins. Where are your free wins? And everyone's complaining about the ladder being too hard. I don't know. So, Hisuian Lilligant, kind of the same idea, where it's like, well, we already have it, just slightly different. So, raises the user's attack, defense, and speed by 1. I will give Game Freak some credit in making this Pokemon just like a mirror for an attack versus a special attack, using an existing move like Quiver Dance, and then still keeping a dance theme with Victory Dance. Now, I'm guessing like Oricorio is going to pull some shenanigans with this, and then, yeah, stuff's going to happen here. Also, maybe some co-star and doubles, but we didn't really see that, like, go super crazy in Generation 7 with, like, Quiver Dance, Oricorio, and some other dancing strats, or, like, trying to copy all these stat boosts and stuff, but maybe something happens, or maybe it doesn't. However, we just have a very similar Pokemon, so 105 speed, 105 attack, we hit insignificantly less hard. Now, there are going to be, like, more physically skewed Pokemon, so this 105 attack probably feels closer to, like, a 95 special attack. Maybe 100 or something, so decent amount of damage drop, but on that 105 speed, it means we have the luxury of actually going the offensive nature, and then we're just going to be fine right here. We are just as frail, though, so Focus Sash probably going to be something we want, especially with our typing. Yeah, that's one of those Grass plus something means you're weak to everything typings. Not as bad as Grass Psychic, but 4 times weakness to Flying. We have Poison, Fire, Psychic, Ice, and Fairy weaknesses. Ah, that Fairy one just feels bad, because again, like, Stray, Moonblast's gonna hurt. Fairy type hits, pretty common. Ice, Psychic. Yeah, like, this is not great to deal with. Now, your offensive coverage does get pretty decent off of this, but still, that's gonna be kind of rough on the super effective hits, but 70-70 doesn't really survive neutral hits that well in modern Pokemon, so we just have, like, classic Dragon Dancing, Sashing, setting up kind of Pokemon. Another weird thing about the Hisuian Lilligant is that it gets access to Axe Kick, which very few Pokemon get, and it's a pretty wacky sounding move. Axe Kick inflicts damage, 30% chance of confusing the target, so 30% confusion just baked into a move that has 120 base power, 90% accuracy, but it also has the crash damage of a high jump kick. Alright, and we don't get the high jump kick, so we have the Axe Kick, but as we go deeper into the moveset, oh, we have Close Combat. And we're going to be on 1 hit point, super frail, getting 1 shot anyways. Even for like Victory Dance and they trade setups, we still don't care about Close Combat, because we're 70-75. We're, even at full health, a -1 and a -0 is no difference whatsoever. And then, like, looking at the offensive moves, like Leaf Blade into Terra Grass or something, we have Chlorophyll, doesn't matter if we're going to be speed boosting. We have Hustle, which is probably going to be the most important one, and then Leaf Guard. No one has really ever used Leaf Guard ever, and then we open up an extra move slot. So let's see what happens with the Grass Fighting. So yeah, we hit well. Like, fighting, kind of teching into things, gonna be alright, but grass notoriously gets resisted. So we can see that we don't hit poison-type Pokemon too well, and we don't hit flying-type Pokemon too well. Okay, so that's something to consider, and that also means we can, like, open up our Terra options on that. So ground means we're going to take care of poison, but that doesn't really help us against flying-type Pokemon. Ice, just because, like, dragon and flying, and then, like, some other Pokemon are going to convert. We can actually just kind of check some of these, where it's like, boom, we do that, 24, not very effective. Boom, we do that, 135, not very effective. All right, keep kind of, like, looking around. Fairy's still going to get resisted by poison. So, Psychic? No, that's still not the play. Actually, could be the play, because it's some weird steel type. Golden Go. Gotta deal with the Golden Go, and that's kind of like the bigger threat, where now we're dealing with, like, common Pokemon versus uncommon Pokemon versus what's actually in the dex versus what's meta. And then if we go back to ground, what Pokemon here are more of a threat because, like, the weird typing interactions? Ghost. Really? Okay, so that's what I mean. Like, yeah, fighting Ghost is actually just, like, notoriously insane. And then with the Zoroark, which we don't really see too much, that was, like, the only thing that changed it. So that's what I mean. Like, you can kind of build out and try to get something onto this. The weird thing is, Hisuian Lilligant just, like, randomly gets the poison jab, so it's like his Game Freak trying to build this, but we just saw that, like, that's not going to work out too well, so you kind of have to dedicate the Terra into it. But then, like, your triple stab, your +1, you have, like, more than +1, because 1.5 on top of 1.5, and extra shenanigans coming in, and then we're also getting extra damage and extra stabs and stuff, so that seems to be the play. And looking at the damage calculation, that's where this Pokemon kind of gets weird, where it's like, okay, we're just +1, Adamant Nature, 105, using close combat. We don't neutrally KO a 95-95. Now, as we talked about, this is like the peak. This is the pinnacle. You want to get to this, that way you don't have to worry about anything, and you're pretty much two-shotting any tank Pokemon, which then doesn't threaten you because they have no damage. Leaf Blade, also not really that crazy, but if we kind of dial it back into different Pokemon, Iron Valiant, kind of like a Pokemon where, okay, if you can catch this kind of sweeper, we got 74, we got 90, we got 60. If you can damage this Pokemon significantly, then you're going to be in a pretty good spot. Why is the close combat doing so much damage? Oh, that's because I didn't dial Hisuian Lilligant to level 50. Yeah, so it kind of shows that if we had the neutral hit with this close combat level of power, then that's going to actually be a KO onto the Iron Valiant. And then Leaf Blade, it's kind of awkward where it's like, okay, so yeah, the +1, 105, just 90 base power regular move, not gonna be enough to KO. But remember, we do have the Hustle ability, so that's kind of what you need to push this Pokemon over the edge, where without the extra boosting, we're just a Pokemon we've seen a million times before. With the extra boosting, oh, now we're just threatening one-shots on everything once we get the Victory Dance set up. Now again, this exists on a lot of Pokemon, like Shell Smashers, because they get the double damage, and then they have, like, Terra options and even more insanity. They can then take it further, but they are, like, at risk of a priority move, or there's some kind of other drawbacks where we're not seeing Shell Smash Pokemon every single game, like we used to back in the old days. So with this, like, yeah, you don't have damage until you hustle, and then you do have damage, but everything is going to be on that lower base power. We can also kind of show, like, Terra Blast into Ghost, and then we go Terra Ghost. Actually, it would probably just, like, automatically do all that stuff for us. So even then, like, 74, 90, +1 Hustle, Terra Ghost is neutrally KOing. And then that means we're also, like, that's what we want, because we're putting in the Terra Ghost to then offset into extra neutral hits that we didn't have. And then boom, we can just kind of go and win like that. I'd also convert some other ones, because there's, like, Golden Go down here, so that's just a super effective hit. That's just a big crush onto the opposing Pokemon. Glamora, maybe something to kind of see where it goes. If we're just, like, offensive Glamora, we can actually KO it on the Terra Blast. We also have Leaf Blade, I guess. Just kind of thinking, like, what about a Poison-type Pokemon that just has blank kind of durability? So, like, 83, 90. That's going to be a neutral regardless of what we swing, and then just more damage if we find that little bit extra on the Leaf Blade. And then, yeah, we're in, like, an untouchable speed tier. Really, the only thing that stops us at this point is priority, or, like, super Giga Bulk, but it's taken another Pokemon. And then that makes me wonder, like, yeah, what about like Lilligant with Terra or Quiver Dance or some kind of other stuff, because it's very similar, and you actually just have more damage on the Petal Dance, but also not, because we don't have the Hustle. But then, like, yeah, so technically the only thing that stops you is like a really specific tank Pokemon or your own RNG screwing you over 20% of the time. And we kind of see this where it's like, much like the Hisuian Arcanine, Head Smash is cool. When it misses, it isn't. But until then, you're winning. So that's kind of like the big thing about this Pokemon. And then looking at other parts of the moveset, like, I guess you got Cheese, where you can Encore them. The Pokemon doesn't have access to the taunt, but Encore is like the power crept better taunt, but sometimes can fail you. And then we just have some like other weird stuff that happens here. Do you Encore Swords Dance, and then you just it's like, and then you wall break, but you need to get the most damage out of that close combat. Leaf Blade is still going to be pretty nice, and it is just 120 on the close combat, so I guess that is comparable to the effectively no drawback Petal Dance that we get. But again, like, if Lilligant has slight viability, that means Hisuian Lilligant's going to be awesome, but it means we should have seen like some kind of successful usage of the Lilligant, if that means Hisuian Lilligant is going to find any viability. I don't know. And then, like, yeah, you just have, like, 105 Adamant, Swords Dancing, if you just Encore a tank or something, and then you're just kind of set up to succeed. But, like, there's other Pokemon that do that, there's other Pokemon that are currently doing it better, and then we don't really have too much else going on. Like, I don't know, is there something, like, really ignorant where you just run the wildest utility where you entrain a special attacking Pokemon to where now they have less accuracy, and then you like try to play something off of that, but again, you don't have the bulk. Like, this would actually be like one of the coolest things to see on a different Pokemon. But another thing we've seen with like modern Pokemon design, really starting in Generation 8, but also a little bit in Generation 7, is like, it's a very specialized Pokemon that can do one thing and effectively has one moveset, and then like some slight tech options that might get out of control. Because I don't think Game Freak expected Encore to be on 75% of Iron Bundles. Go check right now on Pokemon Home. It's disgusting. It actually might have gone up even. It started out like 40%, and then now everyone's like, yeah, Iron Bundle's actually just the anti-tank that then soft sweeps with some damage. Like, you give up all your damage just so you can go Encore onto a tank, and then you have like 2-hit KOs. It's kind of awkward. I don't think Game Freak expected that. So it's like weird splash of Encore on every Pokemon almost feels like a mistake that will have to be undone in future generations of the game. But then, like, yeah, why do that on Hisuian Lilligant when you have Iron Bundle for that, or some other kind of Pokemon now that this meta is developing inside of it? But outside of like stupid oversights from Game Freak, it's like this Pokemon does one thing. It's built to use its signature move, and then it's built to sweep around that with the new gimmick. GG, easy. Here's the extra damage just to make sure it one-shots everything. So, hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.